right, and we're live. How's it going, Jordan? What have you been up to lately?
Same old, same old.
Yeah?
Playing games, doing portfolio work, living the dream.
What portfolio stuff you doing?
Right now, I'm cleaning up a 3D modeled car I made the last year to be portfolio worthy.
Gotcha. For like submitting for like with your resume and stuff?
Yeah, by the end of the summer, my goal is to have a website with different things to show off.
Gotcha. Nice.
Now I'm
I
working on the things to show off, and then I'll work on the actual website.
gotcha. Yeah.
I'm not working, so I have more time to do things, and then keep my parents happy. I'll help my dad with like yard work and housework. Like he's building a. I don't remember the last time he came to my house. But we have like a little like I don't know, basically just two wooden walls around the hot tub that's up against the house. It's like kind of private.
Yeah.
You remember that? He tore both those walls down to make new ones. He
Gotcha.
also painted the deck, which I thought he'd have me help him with, but he didn't. Our deck is now gray and white. It's very interesting.
Weird.
I thought so too, but it really doesn't actually look that bad. Apparently, that's the modern thing nowadays, to paint your wooden deck.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's me. Just wake up, work on that till dinner, and then do
Gotcha.
whatever I find fun at.
Yeah, so I um had an interview on Saturday at a country club in GR, so I may or may it's looking good that I might be in Grand Rapids all summer. Um, that would be really fun. I played tennis this morning. That was also very fun, although it was like 85, so we didn't play for very long. It was way too hot outside for us to be out there very long. Um, yeah, and the biggest news is yesterday I had a 13-hour stream that I made day one legend on NA, and in the process hit affiliate. So today was my first stream as an affiliate. Got a couple subs from Adam PC Gamer, and he had one and he gifted one to Igna77. So it's been a good day.
Nice.
All right, so let's talk about some Hearthstone, huh? So
Cheers.
today we want to talk about Odd Demon Hunter. So this deck, for those of you who may not know, if any of you don't know, it's centered around Baku. Uh, Baku has made kind of a resurgence with this deck, and it's kind of the best of both worlds because Demon Hunter's hero powers naturally cost one, and they get to upgrade it too. So it's kind of broken in a way that other odd decks weren't because you can do it for one. Um, this deck is kind of taken the ladder by storm. Lots of people have been playing it. I played it for the first part of my legend climb until I got to like Diamond 5 or so. When I got to Diamond 5, I kind of hit a lot of other aggro, and I just wanted to like win every game by playing Raza Priest and drawing Raza on 5 and Anduin on 8.
Despicable.
So I did that for the final push, but definitely knocked out a lot of games with this deck that you see on the screen here. So the deck that we have here, uh, some things about it that other people maybe don't have all the time. I run two of Mana Burn. I run both Leroy and Lotheb. A lot of decks will pick just one. And I run two of Warglaze of Asenath. So on the right there are some tech choices that I've seen some other decks play. You've got the Pirate Package with Patches and South Sea Deckhand. You've got Frozen Shadow Weaver, the 3-mana 4/3 that freezes an enemy. You've got Blowtorch Saboteur, which is the 3-mana 3/4 that makes your hero power cost 3, your opponent's hero power cost 3 rather. And I've also seen like the 2/1 Glacial Shard that freezes an enemy. So what version of the deck do you run, Jordan? Like what kind of tech choices do you make?
Different I do from your list. One mana bind, mana burn rather, and I don't run two Crimson Sigil right now. But mana burn, which is just the Aegis replay deck. Right?
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't run Crimson Sigil Runner either. I disenchanted mine for the dust when it got nerfed, and I haven't bothered recrafting it.
Experimenting with not running Overseer, but
Yeah,
card's good enough that when it sucks, kind of play it. Card's really bad in the mirror.
yeah. In the mirror, it just dies to your opponent's hero power, and you're sad about it for sure. But that's a
Really
lot.
clunky 3 drop.
Yeah, that's a lot of the early game minions too, though. A lot of them have 2 health, which is why you run the beaming sidekick, right, to kind of mitigate that. But
That's one way. Or you kill the 2 drop, like 2 health, whatever thing while you play. The weakest point of the deck, I think, is there's no 3 drops you can play on curve. I
yeah,
suppose the Warblades helps with that, and sometimes you Warblade Ghoul.
yeah,
I also think my version of the Season Runner helps with that because you'll just have generally more options. Squeeze out like some ones instead of.
yeah.
I'm definitely a fan of the first Shadow. It helps a lot in disco matchup.
Yeah,
It's just a matchup I think this deck has to win to be good. Because I don't really see it ever beating. And by not seeing it ever means it's unfavored. Basically, the other good like Warlock decks, right?
right.
I don't think this deck beats Cube. Like the Warlock would have to hit what? 3 mana, 4 mana, 3/4, and another demon, and then they win.
Yeah, either of the taunt minions or even Melganis
Yeah.
will get you there most of the time. The other problem with playing against that deck is Defile kind of wrecks you pretty hard a lot of the time. Dark Skies wrecks you pretty hard a lot of the time.
File, Dark Sky, even like some mixtures, Cobalt Librarian, fight. Fellbolt oftentimes just destroys your Overseer for nothing because they don't have minions in play.
Right.
Rods of Priest, every time you play them, they just destroy you. They draw penance. Rods
That the Rasa Priest matchup is winnable, but they have to draw. They have to draw
yeah,
bad. So
you have to be able to do some real late game stuff to really chip away.
yeah, if you can get down an early
They
priest,
draw.
if you can get down an early priestess and an early glaive bound and
They stick.
Lothab and yeah, if things stick, then you'll win. But that's a big if a lot of the time. So we've talked a little bit about the mirror. So in the mirror, it's basically this deck is pretty linear, I would say. You kind of just want your 1 drops with the beaming sidekick, and then like in your mulligan, sometimes you'll keep like an eye beam or a hench clan flag depending on the matchup. I'd say. That's pretty much the mulligan guide for everything. Um, Maybe not keep eye beam is less good to keep against like your priest opponent because you want to have more of a presence. So you want to like keep things that hit face. But other than that, like
Sounds like you've done your research. HSP has the top 4 mulligans. It has 1 drop, 1 drop, 1 drop, eye beam.
yeah, and eye beam is just there because it's so good in all of the other against.
Outcast, incredible tempo.
Yeah, it's good tempo and it's good against the other aggro decks because it lets you win the board back. It's a swing turn, especially if you can pair it with some happy ghouls.
It's strange to me that Lowly Squire and Battlefiend have different like cap percentages and different mulligan win rate percentages. They're like literally the same cards. I guess Battlefiend is lower because you have to misplay for it to be worse.
Yeah,
They're both just the best card to keep, though. Obviously,
yeah.
play.
I a lot of times if I see a beaming sidekick, even if I don't have another one drop in my hand, I'll keep it. Um, but I won't normally tempo it out unless I absolutely have to. I just wait until there's a minion to play it on that's valuable. The nice thing about Demon Hunter and the hero power costing one is that if you don't have a good play on turn one, you can just smack them in the face for two. Like obviously it's not the best tempo play, but it's still pretty good. It's still working towards your eventual goal.
Yeah, having the hero power early as a turn is generally terrible, but not Demon Hunter. It's like the one deck it's okay in.
Yeah,
I guess Warlock.
yeah.
Good deck. Tap early. For the most part, hero powers suck and you don't want to do them really.
For the most part, hero powers are things you don't want to do like at all. If you have better things you can do.
Yes. With the exception of like Bach.
Yeah, like that's why Baku
Making
and
them
Gen were
just
so. That's why Baku and Gen were so hated because it like when you have a hero power that your game plan revolves around, all of a sudden it's like, okay, well these games are extremely linear because it doesn't matter what you draw. It's all about what you.
play minions and hit him with your hero power.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why they got rotated early, which is the only time that's ever happened.
Yeah, pretty much. They missed the mark. I wish they would have just removed him from.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
hey,
there's an
that's
argument to be made for that, but
your
uh,
cesspool of a solved meta where you have one deck per class mostly.
yeah, if that, rip rogue, rip druid.
Kind of funnily enough, like if without Beam, like without Baku, most like wild Demon Hunter decks would look a lot like the standard ones. Like there's what, like 4 wild cards in this list, 5. Kind of low with that. It's like you get rid of the Baku and suddenly you've like you're running just like standard Demon Hunter lists with like all Demon Hunter cards. Because Demon Hunter cards are good and there's no wild Demon Hunter cards yet.
Right. There's 9 wild cards here. Lily Squire.
I wasn't counting 2 ofs, but yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Slowly, Happy Ghoul.
Yep. Hench Clan Thug. Leroy, Lothab.
Yeah, Leroy.
Rip Leroy. I'm sure Standard
Second
doesn't
best
miss
deck
him.
for a while. And second best deck on the HSV play for this class, Tempo Demon Hunter, which runs 0? Is Blazing Battle Mage wild?
No, it's not Standard.
Dragon, Sons of Dragon.
Huh?
So yeah, the next best, and actually the highest Moonlight deck on.
That seems strange and
There's not
wrong.
enough games.
Yeah.
It's just because it doesn't have a lot of games played. The highest is still Demon Hunter on Demon Hunter, but it's a much less refined list because it's got much less games played. It runs Battle Fiend, Booming Tactic, Battle Mage, Firefly, and Lily Squire.
Seems
And
wrong.
Sildus Swarmer. Doesn't
Oh,
run Lothep or Leroy.
Slithid Swarmer. Slithid Swarmer is a powerful card in Demon Hunter, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's another. That 3-drop you can at least play on Curve. I like that about.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something there.
Maybe you want
Yeah,
to
but the
cut your
Tempo one
overseers for that.
runs exactly 0 wild card. It's like. It's actually got a 75% win rate, but it's only got 300 games, so it can't really be trusted.
Right.
The version with 1 mana bind and 2 sigils that has 3,000 games is probably the best one, although a lot of that stats might be coming pre-nerf. Which is why the new one is now getting games played. Which is cutting them. Actually, no, this version has it too. I don't know. Every list on.
Yeah, this deck is kind of strange. Like, it's got like 20 to 25 cards that are like non-negotiable. Like, if you're playing this deck, it's almost certainly in there. The only reason it's not in there is if you don't own it, which
Maybe 23
happens.
the lowest, but it's pretty.
So, but like at the same time, it's not like as hyper refined as something like Secret Mage, right? So like this deck,
Right.
there's
Yeah. It
still
takes longer for wild decks to be hyper refined because there's less people. The
sure,
data comes in slower and everything.
sure,
But then when a deck like Arena Priest and Secret Mage lasts forever, it kind of just gets solved, and then just you play the same deck for a year.
yeah, or two,
And you can tell that like why players like change because like as soon as new cards come out, they like put them in their decks. But then eventually they just resort back to the old list because they're better.
right?
Happened a bit. Best example was like Key Block where people were in that Demon 2-drop instead of the expired merchants for a while. It was fun and exciting and still good enough so everyone played it, and then eventually they just went back to expired merchants because the card's broken.
Yeah. And I mean, it's really good in pretty much all of your control matchups because you want that extra board of demons or the extra board of death rattles.
The extra 2 boards.
Yeah. Well, you end up netting one, right?
I played Highlander Hunter against Key Block, and I would have won except he faceless an expired merchant and got 4
Oh,
cooldowns instead of 3.
it's
And I
nutty,
dealt with 3. It was impressive. I Stick Tracker as Zephyrs. Zephyrs Shadow Ruined once. Shadow Ruined Zephyrs the second time. And then Zul'jin the third time, and I couldn't do it the fourth.
gross.
Also, I had like a half. I kind of dealt with like 3.5 boards because I ripped a Deathwing aspect, whatever, off of my Extraza. So I almost got through 4 boards.
Wow.
But he just kept. But he has 5 because he also has Nazoth. So you get through 4 cooldowns and you lose the game because they just make so many. It's actually insane.
Yeah, that's why Odd Warrior is so unfavored. When I was playing a bunch of Odd Warrior, I hated playing against Q blocks
You
because
can't absolutely not win that matchup. There's just no way.
you can
That's
you,
insane.
you can deal with like three-ish boards.
Draw 2 of them. You play your math, whatever one. But they have like the death rattles. You have to have like. I mean, you just take chip damage probably all game.
Yeah, and then and like the problem would be solved if Odd Warrior ran any silences, but the only silence available to Odd Warrior is the Owl. You could also run the Silence of Demon, the 3 mana 4/3 Silence of Demon, but it's way less applicable, so it's probably worse. But I thought about it a few times. If I queued into more Warlock, I probably would have put it in.
Hmm.
I on EU, I actually started crafting this list, the Odd Demon Hunter list, because I wanted to have a decent deck in there. But I also made the decision at the same time that I was crafting this deck that I was going to craft every part of it golden as I could. So I'm still
You're making the deck list on EU. You said
yeah,
crafting it golden.
yeah. So I'm disenchanting like every bad card there. It's not,
3 golden legendaries.
yeah. So far, um,
4 rares, or 4 epics. There's a lot of commons in it.
yeah, and a lot of them. So the ones
Some
that I already had, I didn't go back and bother with crafting golden. I eventually will, but
you get
for now they're
Overseer
playable.
Glaive deck by just leveling up the class. Those are basic, right? And War.
And
That's pretty good.
Warblades, yeah. And
And you've got
I think I beam too.
IBM's an epic.
Yeah, but you get it still, right? 'Cause it's part of the
No, you don't
basic
get it.
set. Oh,
You don't get golden. You only get golden basics. That's an epic. That
oh,
card
hmm.
costs. It's Ashes of Ireland's card.
But yeah,
Oh no, it's an initiate, so you get it, but you don't get the golden one.
right.
Okay, that's a golden one.
So I'm not running exactly this list. My list has Crimson Sigil Runner in it. I'm going off of Get Meowth's version of it, but it's basically this list with a few changes. I'm still missing for that deck Golden Lotheb, or not Lotheb. That one doesn't run Lotheb. I'm missing Golden Leroy, Golden Metamorphosis, and double Golden Warglaves. And then I have to like go back and craft some of those other cards golden that I had already, like Battle Fiend and Consume Magic and Mana Burn and Warblades I'll get naturally, I-Beam I have to craft. Satyr I'll get naturally, Glaypound I'll get naturally. And then I'll have it all. It's only all of the dust.
All of the dust.
But yeah, I mean I've been playing with the suboptimal list because I'm being stubborn and trying to make a full golden deck in EU. And I played that suboptimal list all the way to Diamond 9 in like a couple hours. So that is to say, this deck is so obscenely powerful. You can play without things like with you can play without things like Leroy and Lotheb and Metamorphosis and Warglaves and get away with it because it's just so good. The thing that sucks about how my deck is right now is that the only way I kill people is by smorking them down early and then playing a priestess and hoping it sticks and kills them. So it's kind of iffy at times, but I mean, hey, it, whenever you can turn a good deck into a budget deck and still get wins with it, count it as a good thing, right?
I mean, yeah, it's generally Baku deck and Gen decks is weird cost friendly. Because once you have the one legendary required to make a hero power good, that can kind of just carry you
Yeah.
in a lot of games. So you can run some optimal cards.
And that's kind of another reason why. So like kind of going back to what I said earlier, if you have the upgraded hero power, either making it cheaper or making it better with Baku, it's like because the cards matter so much less because you're just hero powering every turn, it doesn't matter as much what cards are in them. If they're doing approximately the same thing, then you get away with it. So like in my budget version right now, that doesn't have all the cards, I'm running some extra one drops, and turns out one drops smork people just as well as have like one drops early that stick smork just as well as like a one time Leroy, right? It's only takes 3 hits from a one drop to equal a Leroy turn, which is kind of a bad example. But like the point stands that like you can get away with it because you're hero powering it pretty much every turn. It just makes the game much more linear, which is why people don't like it, right? Because it's every game feels too much like the same game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of funny. This deck has gotten hit by quite a few nerfs already. Um, the first things that got nerfed were the I beams, which happened so long ago it's actually hard to remember. Um,
Oh
it,
yeah, because it cost 0.
it
Yeah,
used
that
to
was the
cost
one.
0, yeah.
That's like the first week of the game, of the big game.
Yeah. So then that got changed to 1.
What else got
Um,
nerfed at the same time? Was it Skull
Skull
Ogudan?
Skull of Gul'dan, which you used to be able to play in this deck, which was
Oh my
nuts.
gosh, man.
Yeah, so that used to cost 5 mana, and you could play it in this deck. So another like that hurt the
Would
deck
you?
some. What?
Hmm.
Did you
I
say
guess it's pretty good.
would
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 mana draw
Got a lot
three.
of competition after, but yeah,
Five
still very good.
5 mana draw three is good enough on its own, and if you play it without cast and you hit anything
Thanks,
worth, yeah,
but I think this is the deck where it would be the most decks where it's broken. But
yeah,
yeah,
it's just good in this deck. It's
there are a
not
lot
like
of decks where
yeah,
you just lose to them. Like that late in the game, no matter what you do, you're not gonna win. But
sure, but that's sometimes just the reload you need against your aggro opponent. And then what else got nerfed?
I'll be driving off my back.
Um,
Battle Fiend,
Battle Fiend. Yep, that went from 2 attack to 1 attack.
Crimson Sigil Runner.
Crimson Sigil Runner went from 2 attack to 1 attack, so that one
Eldrazi
does seem
Warblades,
much.
I think, was actually the first go round of nerfs as well. The Beam to be a 2/3.
Did Eldrazi Warblades get nerfed?
Yeah, it used to be a 2/3.
Oh yeah, I actually forgot about that one. That one
That
was
was the
that was
first
that
one
was
to play.
that was pretty low impact compared to the rest of them.
I mean, that card was very good. Sure, it
Um,
was significant. It
what
allowed
else?
you to probably play it on 3, swing on 4, and still swing on 5. I have to imagine that was
Yeah,
play it on 3, play it with Hench Clan Hero Power, attack, and still have it. I mean, you can still do that, you just don't attack on 3.
right.
Yeah, but I think those are the cards that were
And
nerfed.
Priestess.
Yeah, Pieces of Fury lost 2 health.
Yeah, which is more relevant than I thought it was going to be,
Oh, yeah,
because
it's very.
I
It
originally
doesn't
thought that
stick.
like I was originally in the camp of,
You
well,
used to be able to
taking
run Altruist in this deck.
yeah, Aldris used to be in this deck too.
Altruist, the Outcast used to be in this deck.
It wasn't
You
as
probably
good,
ran
and
Imprisoned Atheon in this deck too, huh? Back when it was 5 minutes.
some people were running it, but it wasn't like the
Sure.
it wasn't like
Guaranteed to be, yeah.
yeah, it wasn't approved in a lot of streamer decks, but a lot of like people were
I
playing it still.
mean, it's very new.
Yeah, when it
I think
was
those are
new.
all the cards that have been there for this class.
So
Nothing else is jumping out.
that being said, all of those cards have been nerfed, and this deck is still tier one, maybe tier two, but probably tier one. So this deck is just kind of busted, and I'm glad they've been hitting it with nerfs because I can't imagine like how it would be if all of those cards had not been nerfed already.
I think the deck's a perfect level of busted for Wild.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
actually
compared to the
good
other stuff
in
that's
this other
going
busted
on,
deck.
Odd Demon Hunter actually feels pretty fair. Like it smorks you down, but if you're a control deck, you're equipped to prepare with for that. Most control decks can handle Odd Demon Hunter if they don't draw like ass. You know?
Mm-hmm. It's a better addition to the aggro world than just running patches in every deck.
Yeah,
And with patches kind of slower things took over because you couldn't keep them in checks. It's good that Disco Warlock and this are keeping slower decks in check to a degree.
right. Keeping him slightly less greedy. But I think the real thing that's killing slow decks right now is Quest Mage, but that's
Mm.
I mean,
Not
because
at any rank other than Legend, though.
yeah, I kind of noticed
I
that
haven't
the
played a
Quest.
Quest Mage in my life. They
Lucky
don't
you,
exist.
lucky you.
I've not played against a Quest Mage in months. They don't exist. It's always secret.
Yeah.
Probably the 30 mages I've played have been secret mages.
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing a lot more Secret Mages lately because it's the beginning of the month, but
Way more popular deck, for sure.
it's a lot cheaper is the big thing, I think.
Also, I think it was good before Quest Mage was, so more people probably have it made, and
Yeah.
it's like their deck in Wild potentially
Or at least the current iteration
easier to
of Quest
play.
Mage. Because Quest Mage has been a while around for a while, but this iteration of Quest
Right,
Mage has only been around for about a year.
a bit of it's actually good, and not like the Anduin OTK or something.
You mean
Not
Antonitis.
Anduin, yes, Antonius.
So if you had to pick like one play in this deck that isn't like super common, but that you like to do pretty often, like is there anything that
One
like
play.
yeah, so I've got one in mind, so I'll go first. It
I
might
like the
like
Metamorphosis for 5, and then here Phase for the 6. Great, great. Should try sometime.
yeah, Metamorphosis on Curve. So what I'm talking about is so in the Odd Demon Hunter mirror match, most of the time I will hold on to my Battle Fiend and Lowly Squire in my hand until I've got a Beaming Sidekick or multiple threats to play down so that he can't just hero power down my minion. So sometimes I won't play my Battle Fiend and my Lowly Squire that I've been holding until like turn 2 or 3 when I can play it with like a Beaming Sidekick or two.
Or Mana Burn.
Or Mana Burn, yeah. Mana Burn's powerful. Although, depending on the turn you do it, right? If you do it turn 2, then it's really good. If you do Battle Fiend plus Mana Burn.
Or Mana Burn. Battlefield Hero power into their turn 3 is okay. It lets you then stick your own 3 drop plus hero power the turn after. And be...
Yeah. I also like Loathebbing against like Quest Mage or Mecha Lock or Raza Priest and just locking them out of the game for a turn. Loatheb's a great card. Never touch Loatheb or else I will riot. Loatheb just feels fair. when you're playing it. Obviously, playing against it sucks, but like, it's not like it's like the most disgusting card, and you can only run one of it. It's a legendary. It's supposed to be powerful. Although I will say it's kind of interesting how
Getting
Lotheb is.
close, but yeah.
I will say it's kind of interesting how Lotheb is one of those cards that seems to fit better in aggro decks, even though the effect is just as powerful in control decks.
More powerful in aggro because you have a board to protect most of the time. Or
Yeah,
in more like other matchups, you don't use it to stop combos, so you don't die. But then you also have to kill them, so they can't just wait a turn and then. So it's hard to time correctly. Whereas in more aggro decks, you can just play it on 5 and it's probably good enough.
right. All right. Any closing thoughts on this deck? Anything else you want to say about Demon Hunter?
You know, as far as it being a brain dead aggro deck that all games are the same, it does have some unique, fun experiences that Demon Hunter provides that other decks haven't. So I got to give him props for
Like what
Mana Burn being a
specifically?
good example.
Mana Burn. A lot of people hate
Or there's
that
not a lot
card.
of classes where you can play weapon that attacks twice in the same turn.
Yeah.
It's also kind of a neat interaction where you attack Warglaves someone's minion and then it like breaks, cure power, and still attack their face power afterward.
Right.
It's a neat little interaction. Priest of Fury kind of feels different than most other cards. I mean, Metamorphosis is just a very unique card, right?
Yeah.
Not a lot of cards that you cure power twice. Obviously, there are a few, but changing it and having it change back is very interesting.
I think they kind of learned their lesson from like cards like Raza and Anduin and like the hero cards and stuff. I think that's the direction they'll try to take it. Like I don't know how many more hero cards we'll get. Um, I think they've
Keep
real
getting them, but they're much more balanced now.
sure.
Which is
I think they've realized that hero powers that you can rely on and that are like super busted are not healthy for the state of the game.
yeah, your powers need to be generally pretty bad, but can be sometimes worth doing.
Yeah.
It's impressive how well they did at designing the first 9. That like power creep hasn't made them awful. They're all still kind of like okay.
The first 9 hero powers. Yeah. I'd agree with that. Warlocks is still way better than all the others, but like
Fair.
yeah. All right. So I think we're done talking about Odd Demon Hunter. So we're gonna wrap up this podcast here. If you want to find me on social media, you can find me on Twitter at vapod1_HS. Vapod is spelled VAAPAD. You can find me on YouTube at Vapod1 and on Twitch at Vapod1. Come and check out the newest sub emote. Should be live here in about a day or so. We got the Vapod 1 Big Brain. It's going to be really cool. I'm really excited for it. And yeah, those are my plugs. Hey, where can they find you, Jordan?
Jordan MGS on Twitter. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, no Twitch?
I mean, I'm Jordan MG on Twitch, but I don't stream.
Gotcha. All right. So to close this podcast, as we always say, if you see a people's champ,
Bye, People's Champ.
thanks for watching, everyone.